That's what I said.
You should fight one another for the honor of leadership.
Sounds fair.
Well, it's not necessary.
It's not.
Okay?
I got some blasters, unless you guys want to use knives.
Oh, yes, please. Use knives.
Yeah, knives.
I'm Groot.
Not necessary.
There shall be no knifing one another. Everybody knows who's in charge.
Me. Right?
Yes, you. Of course. Of course. Of course.
Yeah, 11. Are there any Thor stories that he wants to do before he lets the character go? Meeting Beta Ray Bill, maybe?
That was one of the first scripts, the first comics I ever read. Yeah, I'd love that. I just hope they, keep letting me have another crack at it. I have had so much fun with it, and it doesn't feel at all. It doesn't feel old to me. It feels more fresh now than it did, the first couple of times I played it, and so to be sort of reinvigorated with the character and the world and feel like we have sort of no boundaries now, we can really sort of take it anywhere is a pretty exciting point to be in.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. We have brand new Thor 4 Love and Thunder to break down. Chris Hemsworth did a big Comic-Con panel over the weekend revealing the future of the Thor character through Marvel Phase 4 and beyond into Marvel Phase 5. We're doing a Blu-ray giveaway. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave your best Thor 4 theory on the video. I know there's a lot of questions about the timeline, if the Guardians are going to show up during Thor 4, because now that movie is happening before Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, whereas before we just assumed that Thor was going to show up during Guardians 3 when we thought that was going to happen first. But just going down the list of all the things that he talked about, just starting with the Beta Ray Bill stuff, because so many people, so many big comic book fans have been asking for Beta Ray Bill to actually show up in a movie, not just as an Easter egg like during Thor Ragnarok, but actually show up as a real character. Without coming right out and saying, yeah, we're totally doing this, he's implying that they do have plans to do Beta Ray Bill. That was one of the first scripts and first comic books that he read when he was doing the character. So you find out about all these details of the previous Thor movies that you never knew about. If you've never heard stories about the original version of that first Thor movie, they actually did have a version of Balder in that. They could always introduce him in a future movie if they want, but they've kind of already done the secret sibling twist with the Hela character, so I don't know that they would race to do Balder. Oh yeah, there's another secret brother that your father never told you about. But if it wasn't clear, Beta Ray Bill actually has already been introduced in the Marvel movies during Thor Ragnarok. It's just that you haven't actually seen him on screen. There was an early version of him that they put into Thor Ragnarok in the Contest of Champions in the Grandmaster's games. That's why his head showed up on the Grandmaster's tower here, because at one point he was one of the champions. Kevin Feige later said that they felt like they weren't doing the character justice and it was a little too much already that they were putting in the film, so they cut him out and said, we'll just put him in a future movie when we can actually do a really good job with the character. So before they announced Thor 4 Love and Thunder, I think a lot of people, myself included, assumed that would probably be through the Guardians of the Galaxy films because Beta Ray Bill is a cybernetic being in a Corbinite, which is kind of a weird concept to sell to people, but I feel like the Guardians of the Galaxy movies have always done a really good job with selling you really weird characters in really cool ways. Just look at the Guardians 3000 team from the post-credit scenes.
I'm in.
Dope.
I miss you guys so much.
Hell yes.
Let's say we steal some shit.
If they can do a really good job with those characters, they can totally slam dunk Beta Ray Bill. But now that Thor 4 Love and Thunder really is happening before Guardians 3, it's just another opportunity to introduce that character, regardless of whether or not he's a major character or just a side character or somebody they introduce at the end of the movie, then he shows up during the Guardians of the Galaxy or another space-based franchise. Because you guys will be really excited by this too. One of the first Beta Ray Bill stories was actually a Nova story. So he was actually transporting his people to a new land because their former home had been destroyed by Surtur and the fire demons. During that journey, they encountered Richard Rider Nova. Nova is supposed to be coming during Marvel Phase 4, Marvel Phase 5. They haven't said exactly when, they just said that they're working on a movie for the character. But because there's so many more cosmic films that they're working on and Marvel Phase 4 is going so cosmic, that's why they had the Spider-Man Far From Home post-credit scene with Nick Fury on the Sword space station, because the Avengers stuff, the really big stuff, are moving into the cosmic realm of the MCU. That's where you get to Nova, Silver Surfer, Fantastic Four, Galactus, the other really big MCU cosmic stories, and really weird space-based characters that they just have not gotten to yet. Thor 4 is a story all about Natalie Portman's character turning into the female version of Thor, like Jason Aaron's Mighty Thor run. Beta Ray Bill's origin story in the Marvel Comics is kind of the same thing. After he's turned into this cybernetic being, he winds up defeating Thor in combat. Then Odin declares that they'll duel each other. He beats Thor again, but spares his life. That's when Odin declares him worthy and gives him his own hammer called Stormbreaker. Now, obviously, it looks a little bit different from MCU Stormbreaker, but Thunderstrike is also another hammer that Thor wielded in the comics. If they don't want to get too confusing with things, they could just call his hammer Thunderstrike. Because it's the fourth Thor film, everyone has theories about what they might do to the character because so many MCU actors are either retiring or just quietly walking off into the distance. Some of them are getting Phase 4 projects, like Hawkeye is getting the Hawkeye Phase 4 series. But at this panel, Chris Hemsworth said that he wanted to keep playing the Thor character as long as they would keep having him back, which makes it sound like they definitely do not plan on killing him off during Thor 4, meaning that we can still get a Marvel Phase 5 Thor Avengers 5 movie and Thor crossing over with Silver Surfer, so you can actually do the Marvel remake of Point Break. Cue the workout tape of him losing all that weight before Thor 4. Right now, the Marvel movies still move in real time, meaning Spider-Man Far From Home comes out a couple months after Avengers Endgame, but the events of that movie also take place a couple months after the end of Tony Stark's funeral at the end of Endgame. So because Thor 4 Love and Thunder is coming out November 2021, that's a little over 2 years after the end of Endgame, meaning that Thor 4 Love and Thunder will pick up a couple years after the end of Avengers Endgame, giving them a couple years to fly around the cosmos looking for that version of Gamora from 2014 so Peter Quill can win her over to the team, and giving Thor plenty of time on that Bowflex that Star-Lord said he was going to buy during Infinity War. If the Guardians really do show up during Thor 4, what they'll probably do is just show up at the beginning to address what they've been doing together, or Thor will just show up back on planet Earth because he can open the Bifrost with Stormbreaker. He technically doesn't need a spaceship to get around the universe. And if they don't want to include them in the movie, they'll just have him reference what they've been doing that whole time or make some jokes about what they were up to in the past couple of years when he comes back to Asgard to meet with Valkyrie. I've seen a lot of good Jane Foster Thor theories, but the way they talk about the movie is going to be our version of Jane Foster, not one from an alternate reality. They haven't said much about including Loki, but I do have a feeling that because his series is happening before Thor 4 Love and Thunder, because the Disney Plus series are all supposed to set up what's going on in the movies, and Loki has the biggest connection with the Thor franchise. Early Loki theory, because they're rolling so hard on the concept of the multiverse during Marvel Phase 4 through Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, literally a multiverse movie, and the Loki that we know is now in an alternate reality with the Tesseract causing all kinds of problems. That version of Loki will also play a role during Thor 4 Love and Thunder and could be a way for them to bring another version of Mjolnir into our reality, one that did not get destroyed by Hela. There are a lot of people that are also wondering if Eitri is just going to forge a new version of Mjolnir. I don't know if I like that idea, though, if it's so easy for them to just make another version. I really like the concept of them invoking multiverse if they're rolling so hard on that during the next couple of years. The other really cool thing Kevin Feige talked about that they're doing with these Marvel Phase 4 movies is setting up a lot of really big stuff that's going to be coming during Phase 5 and beyond. So that gets into the concept of mutants, the Fantastic Four, the X-Men characters. So everybody post your Thor theories in the comments below. But don't worry, because it definitely sounds like Chris Hemsworth plans on coming back for Avengers 5 when they decide to do that movie, which I think probably won't be before 2023, just because it's typically a May movie and Black Panther 2 is May 2022, so maybe the year after that. There's a whole bunch of Marvel Phase 4 stuff that they're getting ready to shoot, so I will do more videos for those movies and Disney Plus series as we get more details. Leave all your requests in the comments below. Watchmen on HBO is starting next week too. I will be doing episode videos for that. Congratulations Zombie Bro 9, you're the giveaway winner from my last big Marvel video. Please email me on the About page of my channel so I can get your contact details. Everybody, click here for my Deadpool 3 Robot Chicken trailer video, and click here for that Batman Crisis on Infinite Earths teaser video. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.